Welcome to the CreatorShift speaker series, 21 keys to go from forgotten dreams to aligned action. I'm so excited and heartwarmed to have my longtime spiritual teacher, Nalini, here. Nalini is a lifelong intuitive, clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient perceiver. The divine sees through you into the sacred architecture of alignment. You spent this lifetime studying vibration, perception, and consciousness. And like a multidimensional thumb drive, you plug into what are optimal emanations of source for each individual. As I mentioned before, you were one of my very first mystics on my spiritual journey, and I'd love to begin there. What first opened you to this path?
Okay, well, I would have to say that what flows through me now is what we could call the Divine Mother's pathless path. So it's not like there's pavement. It doesn't really exist on her path because she, and I don't use that pronoun in a genderized way ever,
Mm.
but she flows through us, each of us, as the light that we are. So how I came to this was through a lifetime of study, decades of study and practice, the way we learn anything. Um, but I had been studying what we could call the patriarchal forms. I was born into a Gnostic tradition. Everyone said God the Father. I didn't question that just because it didn't occur to me. Although my mother's spiritual teacher was a woman and she used to talk about the light coming through the male in the family, and the cognitive dissonance of that did not really hit me till I was a teenager, of course. But then it was like, oh, that's a little
Mm.
strange. But I had been studying all these different traditions, many. I'm ordained in three of them. It's been my life. And what I can say is that the Great Mother came and took me by the scruff of my neck and shook hard and got my attention and said, "That'll be enough of that." And I didn't really know what that meant. I had dedicated my life to the light. And so I started reading other things. I started investigating the goddess traditions. I really wasn't into some of them, but I had studied the Hindu and the Buddhist archetypes of the divine feminine. I was very familiar with those. Mahakali was my tutelary deity through all of my Vedic studies. As I moved into the Buddhist learning, my yidam was always white Tara, was always Tara.
And how would you describe the essence of your work? Oh, maybe you froze for a moment there.
I don't know.
Oh, are you complete?
I, I'm no,
Oh,
but
go ahead.
it's
No, continue. I
no,
think
it's
you
okay.
froze.
It's okay. They'll edit this. Um, all right, I guess it stopped for a reason. What's this? What happened with being sort of grabbed by who I call the Great Mother, and again, this is not genderized, was to allow me to see in a new way. Not that I didn't understand Father, Mother, God, Mother, Father, God. Um, I have an innate awareness that I was born with that the duality and the polarity we experience on this world isn't real. That
Mm.
is impressed upon the collective by our minds. And so my mind was trained. I went into a new cycle of training to see other things and started to realize, as we do, that many of the things I had been drawn to were other life memories, were just the innate expression of the essence that comes through me. So that started me on a path of learning. And I was seeing a healer at the time. And he kept finding these patterns over and over and that trip. And I sat in my office one day because I was also working a full-time day job as an IT consultant designing databases. And I thought, if I can do a where used on a function in a database, if I can say, give me all the instances of this, and then I can do a cascade update or delete, why can't we do that in consciousness? Why can't
Mhm.
we do that with symptoms in our body? I know we can. I know I've done this before. And Source basically said, well, of course, anything is possible. And I said, well, okay, then, show me how.
Mhm.
And I literally got the blue "Are you sure?" screen in front of my inner vision. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me, right? I mean, this is my world was IT. I got the "Are you sure?" screen. I said, yes, yes, please. I want to know how to do this. And there was a flash of light, and I was knocked on my bum on the floor of my office, gently, of course. And 2.5 hours later, I came out of the meditation, and there was a download of a method, a way of dissolving the ego, allowing the light to come in, allowing the transformations of energy that make it possible to eradicate a programming completely instead of picking one little dandelion tendril at a time. And so I started putting that into an email class. It took me 6 months to do that. And then it took about another 2 years to integrate all of the information that was coming through. It was multidimensional in nature. It was quite the download. And so it took quite a long time to
Mhm.
transcribe it and to make it into something cohesive, which I started teaching as spiritual root cause analysis. And it was way too complicated for most. Most minds would just go bleh when they encountered it. But some people really got it. And so that has morphed from that to hacking the matrix, to hacking the false matrix of illusion, and to embodying fluidity, which was the last form that I taught this course in for 20 years.
Okay, so so can you describe the essence of your work today and in a way,
Sure.
yes.
I'll try. Sarah. Um, the source essence that inhabits this body, I could say, communicates with the source essence of the person I'm working with on a one-on-one or the group I'm working with or whatever, and identifies anything that is constricted or blocked or where we would say there's an issue or a symptom because it's very much about the mind-body continuum. And then the source essence that we both are, that we all are, does whatever needs to be done. And this happens if I'm working with you, for example, it would happen in your field.
Mhm.
I'm happening with a group, it happens in the group orb of light that's being held. It's nothing that I personally do. It's the essence that comes through me does the work. And sometimes healing happens. I am not a healer. Um, Transformation always happens. And so people's lives change, at least so they tell me.
Mm. And so, what could someone watching do today that's going to make a difference in their life in that respect?
Well, what any of us can do is we can pause, we can breathe, we can acknowledge the source essence within us, and that light is the intelligence quotient of divine love, and it always knows what to do.
Mm.
So if we just acknowledge that, it sounds simple, sounds silly maybe, but it always works. And the deeper and deeper and deeper we go, the more light we let in, the more we embody. This cycle we're in isn't about escaping. No one's going to rescue us. We're not going to go shooting off to anywhere. Well, maybe, but that's not the idea. It's to bring the light in, to embody more and more and more. The only way out is through at this time. And so it's through that mind body continuum and allowing the emotional energy that very often we have stored in our bodies. that we don't even know about. It's entered the realm of the unconscious and letting that come through. So I would say, what can they do? They can pause, they can breathe, and welcome in the light because it always knows what to do.
So for those of us who feel disconnected from our creative power, that's where you see that disconnection happening.
It happens through all the patterns and programs we've acquired in
Mm.
this life. I personally, I remember building an ego.
Mm.
I think most people don't have that experience. It just happens through all of the conditioning, the patterns and programs we take on. And that is what stands in the way of just being the flow of our creative essence. It's like something tells you you have to do it this way or you can't do this or that. And it's a program, it's a pattern, it's just code. It's not real. And so if we can bring ourselves to center where we are real and start to notice it, observe that. In Buddhism, it's called minding the mind, but it's this way of looking at what's running, acknowledge there's a program running and then accept not what it's doing, because that's usually what the issue is at the moment, but accept that it is running and then offer it back to our own source essence. It's not outside of ourselves. It's what
Mm-hmm.
we are saying, I choose to let my light take this over and take care of this.
Wow. And so what shifts when someone begins to create from that light alignment instead of program?
Everything, basically everything. There's, we all go through so many phases. We're such children. We all do. We go through all these phases of various ways of acting out, acting through. But when we make this shift into our core, you could say, into that light that we are, and that directs everything, and we let it, most importantly, the major shift is that everything in our life improves because we become the alignment that's optimal for us.
Mm.
And we're all necessary. I mean, everyone has something to offer.
And so what do you feel is most important right now for humanity to remember and to step into?
Um, I think coming into that core, the light that we are, finding that source essence within each of us. Not everyone's going to,
Hmm.
because there's a truth of this world that each of us is here to learn what we're here to learn the way we're here to learn it. And that way may be radically different for someone else and even repulsive to part of us. And it's just, but being able to observe that and say, that's that being's lesson, that's their orb, their schoolhouse of learning, and to not judge. I think one thing that's very important for now is to not judge, but to move back into that light that we each are and let that come through and be what communicates and be what creates.
So that could be a daily practice, a daily practice of awareness. Oh, I'm speaking, moving, thinking from
From
program.
the essence that I am instead of the programs. We all know when there's a program running, whether we want to admit it or not at the moment. We all know, like, oh, that's something running, or we don't know, or we just feel all juiced up, like, and it's like, well, that's a program running. That's not the real essence. And so just again, pause, breathe, give it over to source. And then the method that was downloaded to me was the dissection. It's maybe too analytical for right now for in its huge application, but the essence of it is observe that. The witness is an identity, the observer is a function, and using that function and saying, all right, that's a program. It doesn't get to drive. It doesn't get to run my life. And
Right.
you just stop feeding it. One of the big things following the equinox we just had is what have we been feeding that's exhausting us? And
Mm.
largely without even knowing. And just stop, stop feeding that. And that's practice, daily practice.
And there's some tricky programs, like the program that's meant to program you not to detect any programs, you know.
Yes, those are the workarounds and fail safes, and all programs have them, and they're quite clever. Yes.
So like, how do we work with that? Like,
Well,
how
that's the way that that comes up with some of the people I work with is, well, I can't see it. And you start to get frustrated, and it brings up all that chaotic stuff. And that's what feeds the other system. And so it's like, stop, pause, breathe. All right, I'm triggered, without making a big deal about it. The ego is not a bad thing. It's a functional interface for the world, but it's been badly programmed. And
Mm,
so if you can't see, s- stopping for a minute and remembering that the source within you sees everything, that what is within you actually does know exactly how to handle anything. If we
mm,
stop and
yeah,
let it.
right. And today, I mean, I live in a big city. Um, and even just online information and exterior information, so much noise, so much
Yeah, or tell you
shiny
with
objects.
action. Yes.
It's really, yeah, actually it has two effects. It's either like I'm going to be attracted by all that, or I actually need a break and I'm going to go within.
Mhm.
So it's really demanding us to find that silent space you're
That
referring to.
center.
Yeah.
Yeah, find
Yeah.
that center because it's not, it doesn't have to be an either or of stillness or the world. It's approaching
Mm.
that world from that inner stillness. You don't have to leave it.
Mm.
There's no reason to step out of it. I hear this all the time. Well, I'm going to go do this, or I have to go be out in the world. It's like, well, no, your still center travels with you.
Mm.
It
Right.
deals with whatever you need to deal with. Stop thinking about it as us and them, as either or, because that is a contract for separation in your thinking. And
Mm.
so if you, and of course, the first reaction is, I don't want to be one with all of that. Well, of course not. But it's,
Mm.
if you're in that inner stillness and that orb of light travels with you,
Right.
then you're always there.
Yeah. And creation starts with nothing. I mean, when you have that, it starts from silence, really.
With space, silence,
Yeah.
all great creation comes
Yeah.
from silence, and that's terrifying to the human mind.
Right.
Find me anything to fill my mind.
Right. So how do we know when something is truly aligned versus something we're trying to make happen
You know by the way it feels.
in the
Always.
body?
By the way
Hmm.
it feels in the body. The body always knows. Programmed as our bodies are, and anyone who has a body is still working through programs and patterns, no matter
Hmm.
how awake they are. It's part of it. But it's always a feeling in the body, and a feeling of just that certainty in the inner core of us that knows this is alignment. And if it's there's discipline to all this practice. Most people don't like hearing that, but it's true. It's like if something isn't aligned, if you don't feel that alignment, don't do it. It's like
Mm.
making the decision that you will live from this place. And at first, that's scary, especially if you can't see or hear, which isn't true. We all can, but that's what the program tells us. You can't see this, you can't hear this. It's the emperor's new clothes. It's like there's or the man behind the curtain. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. Well, there is no curtain, there is no guy. That's just a program telling you to, do something else.
Right.
Once you really have that understanding, it's easier.
Mm. Right.
It, it's easy to say this is the understanding that that isn't real. That's illusory. I mean, there's a physical world out there. It's not an illusion. You can't put your hand through a tree trunk, but although that would be kind of fun. But it's our experience of it depends on whether we come from our inner stillness, that light that we all are, no exceptions.
Right.
If we come from there, our experience of everything changes.
Mm. One last question before we get to your free gift. I'm so excited to hear all about that. How can someone begin to feel safe enough in their body to access this deeper knowing?
Well, you just learned some tools that are all about that. So, um, there are many ways, there are many tools, techniques, etc. I mean, I've spent a lifetime studying metaphysics. I've been taught, I've learned, I've practiced many of them. First, I would say find the inner stillness and find that place within you that does feel safe.
Mm.
And maybe life experiences have not handed that to somebody. It's been very different, but there's a place that knows, and it's not in utero. The body sometimes will first go to in utero. It felt safe in the womb. It didn't necessarily, but what it did was it's growing there. And there's an aspect of time that wraps itself around us in utero and creates that orb, literally physically, within which the body grows and accepts the limitations of time and space.
Mm. Mm.
Because the body needs to do that or it isn't a body. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that is. But then it's like, what else is coming in? So it might not be as an infant or whatever. For me, it's in the arms of the Divine Mother.
Mm.
I would have not told you that when I was growing up. I did not want to be my birth mother, and which is
Mm.
why I went the other way into the patriarchal paths. But then, Source came and said, "Stop that. You
Mm.
have to get the balance." And so it's finding that inwardly. It's always inner. It's not an outer safety ever. We look for it there, but it's not. It's an inner place where it's like, okay, there I feel safe. And then let the body feel that and set that up every day. And that's part of
Mm.
what the field meditation does.
Oh, tell us about that. So this is your free gift?
This is my free gift. It's called Setting the Field of Intention. And it can be used every morning, every night, every whenever. But it's a meditation completely guided by the Divine Mother for setting your orb of light to go about your day, about
Mm.
Source literally having your back and your front,
Mm.
and being able to not willfully project that, because willful projection is not going to work in this next cycle. We've all tripped over it in our own ways lately. It's just, good way to face plant. But it's coming in, this meditation brings you into that center and helps create that field that is yours already, anyone's already,
Mm.
and to take that out into the world and have it affect your experience rather than yours or anybody else's programs affecting it. And
Mm.
they will from time to time. We're all sensitive, sympathetic, empathetic. We feel the world, but it doesn't have to get in. We have a buffer zone,
Mhm.
and it's required. We need that. We need that for our source essence to help us evolve.
Right. Oh, Nalini, thank you for guiding us into remembering our light magnificence and and seeing that we are already it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's nothing to do but nothing to do. Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Did you have
You're
anything else? I saw your mouth move.
No, no, I was just going to comment that by definition, a seeker is not a finder.
Mm.
So if we identify with being a seeker, and many have, um, we're just setting a limitation that doesn't need to be there. I mean, the womb in which our bodies develop is a limitation, but those limits are needed to have an incarnation. But they don't need it doesn't need to be programmed with all the other stuff that affects consciousness. And
Right.
so the work, which needs to be done, it's not all, love, light, and unicorns. It's not. It's the work of observing inwardly. It's like, oh, that's a program running. Don't judge it. Don't beat it up. Don't try and kill it. It's just, oh, there's something running. I'm going to accept that it's running, not what it's doing. And I'm going to turn that over to the source essence that we all are
Yes.
and let it dissolve.
Beautiful. I'm going to be grabbing your meditation immediately,
Oh, please do.
making it a daily practice. I want to step into that as for forever, basically. Nalini, thank you so much for your time.
You're so welcome, Sarah. You're so welcome.